crafty friends, Kim from Stamping Imperfection. I am playing with some Maker Forte stuff today to create a back to school card. And this pattern paper that I'm using is so pretty. The colors are gorgeous. The patterns are beautiful. And it is called Time for School. So it's the Time for School pattern paper. I was looking through sentiments. You can see that in the All Season Sentiments pack, there are lots of appropriate cut apart sentiments there that you could use for back to school. But I also have this really beautiful teacher stamp set that's all sentiments, and it's called Thanks for Helping Me Grow. And I'm going to use a sentiment from that. And I'm also going to use this new Love and Bubbles stamp set. And this is from the latest release, which I think is called Make a Toast. But this stamp set, which is called Love and Bubbles, is for some kind of, I had never heard of it. Alexandra called it bubble juice or bubble soda or something. I don't know what that is. So I decided I would make it like a coffee for a teacher friend. And so I'm just using my Eclipse Black Color Hive ink here from Maker Forte, and you can see that when I ink up my stamps with this ink, because it's a foam ink pad, I just dab it on. I don't push it in into the sentiment. Those words on that sentiment are super fine detail letters, and I don't want to smush my ink pad into them because then I will be disappointed with the results. But because I just kind of tapped it on, I got a perfectly inked image the first time. And that does take a little practice with those little letters. That sentiment, by the way, says noun, teacher for the pronunciation, a multitasking educational rock star who lives to inspire and loves to encourage. They're kind of a big deal. So I really like that. So I'm going to fussy cut out this cup, and I'll color it in after I fussy cut it out, and when I get ready to put it on, I'll color this in very quickly. I'm just going to keep it simple, and since I'm making it look like coffee or a latte, I've never had a latte either, so not really quite sure what that's supposed to look like. When I see them in someone's hands, I just see what looks like chocolate on the bottom and lots of whipped cream on the top. So I'll do something to that effect there. So I cut out the sentiment, and now I'm going to cut out the paper that I picked out. So I love this. The colors in this are just so pretty. I cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5, and then I'm using a piece of solid blue, which is on the back of the front and back pieces of the paper pack, which were, the description and stuff. So it's like usually junk, but at Maker Forte, they utilize the backs of those papers for something useful. So they put 2 pieces of coordinating cardstock in here, basically by making the back of the packaging blue. So it's perfect. And you can see there, this is the back of the packaging. So I cut this piece out at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I know it color coordinates with the paper that I'm using because it came in that same paper stack. So it's perfect. So I love that they do stuff like that. And sometimes they'll put toner paper, so if it looks just like shiny black, that's toner paper, and you can die cut that out and run it through your laminator with some thermal foil, and it's foilable, and I love that they do that. So this is one of the little strips that I cut off when I was trimming this down, and I'm going to put this across the card just as a design element, and to kind of separate my sentiment and my image from that background paper, to give your eye a place to rest. I've got a little bit more of that paper left, is some more scraps, so I'm just going to put a little tiny bit peeking out around my sentiment so that that white sentiment doesn't get or the white cardstock of the sentiment doesn't get lost on that white based background paper. So I trimmed it off, and I trimmed it a little too close to the bottom, even though I was carefully using the wire on that and had what I thought was a perfect amount. So I'm just going to take that little leftover piece that I just trimmed off and glue it to the back, and I'm going to do this so I can see the front. I want to get enough blue border, and you can't even tell. So that's how I fix mistakes like that. And then I'll just glue this down and add it to the front of my card. I'm just going to center it on the right hand side of that blue strip, and that'll leave me enough room to put that cup. So I'm going to color that in. So I pulled out some Copic markers, and you could use anything. Like if you have a water brush and you want to use your ink pads, definitely that will work. I probably should have thought of that. That would have been a great idea. Although I don't have a brown Maker Forte ink yet. I think they just came out with one of those this month. So as soon as those are in the store, I will be ordering it. So I'm going to color in the coffee, and I'm going to be using E39, E35, E34, and E31. And then for the straw and the paper that goes around the cup, I'm going to use greens, and I was trying to kind of match the greens in that pattern paper, so I'm using G5, G3, G2, and G12. So that's what I've pulled out there. I've also pulled out a couple of grays, and that would be C3, C1, and C0. So I'm adding this, and this is E39, not 37, to each side, and I'm just flicking it toward the center. And then I'm using E35 and just going over the edges. And I'm just going to blend toward the center. And I'm keeping this super simple. And then I have E34, same thing, going over what I did, blending toward the center. And then I'm going to use E31 to color in the center, so I get that nice light spot in the center and the darker along the edges. And I like the way that looks. It's super simple and easy to do. And then I'm going to pull out the greens. So here are the colors that I'm using there. So it's 5, 3, 2, and 12. And again, I'm starting with the 5. That's my darkest green. Going with the 3 and just flicking toward the center again. And then the 2, and then I'll do the 12 in the center. And it's not quite the same shade of green that is in the paper, but it's, it's close enough. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this C3 along the one edge, and then C1, pulling it toward the center. And I just want to put a little color in here so that looks white, because if I just leave it, it'll look kind of flat, but by putting that gray in there, it gives it a little bit of dimension. And I just pulled out 2 of the greens I think I did the G2 and the G12 just to do the straw, and I'm putting a few foam dots on the back. And I'm going to pop that up next to the sentiment. And of course, no card is complete without some crown jewel gems. And of course I have these beautiful blue ones. Now these, I think these are still the Vegas strip, which is the first set I ever got, and they're one of my favorites. So of course I'm only putting 3 on because I'm super stingy with them. Every card needs them, but I'm kind of stingy with them. And I always make a little triangle, and then I'll add these with my art glitter glue. And these on the hook tweezers and this magic wand tool are 2 of my very favorite tools ever. And they just make it so easy to put embellishments on cards. Like, really, I can pick up little tiny embellishments, and that's it. I'm going to put all the links to this below, and I'll put the link to the Make the Cards challenge. This week's challenge is back to school, and I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. And if you aren't subscribed, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel and click that bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new video. And this is going to go to one of my teacher friends who's not retired like me, just to give them a happy back to school. Thanks for watching, friends. Have a great day.